to the hero who brought along the diablo. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation, flowing with the holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Amazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Amazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meet in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.
My fellow Amazonians, my fellow people, thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for your continuous commitment and steadfastness to our struggle. I am grateful to God to have been born an Amazonian, and I am very proud to be part of this generation that is contributing immensely in altering the destiny of 10 million of our citizens. In the past 7 years, millions of our people have been engaged in the struggle for our freedom. In the past 61 years, millions have also been engaged in the struggle to protect the identity of the Amazonian people and to create an environment within which political system could emerge that will guarantee transparency, protect the rights of our people. We've been struggling to establish the political space also within which an economic system that is designed to provide opportunities for the Amazonian people could take root. For 63 years, our land has been under attack by Cameroon, and it has dismantled our political institutions that are necessary to establish a rule-based order that could guarantee freedom, opportunity for our people. Our economic system has been attacked and taken over, and our resources exploited for the interests of our enemy. Our population have been given two choices: pay allegiance to Cameroon or be starved of opportunities, lose your liberty, go into exile, or even lose your life. Our people sometimes have not had a choice than to succumb, sometimes change their names, their identity, just to have a chance. It has been a brutal existence under Cameroon. From one generation to the other, we seem to gradually fold in, adjust ourselves to oppression, and that the main reason for our existence becomes survival. Every time a generation has risen to challenge the system, thousands have been killed, millions displaced. A regime of terror and violence has been put in place. overseen by Cameroonians appointed even as chiefs within Amazonia, DOs, SDOs, governors, who have become agents of terror and impunity in our country. Our entire survival and lives have depended on their generosity. We have never contemplated a long-term resistance that will give an opportunity for those yet unborn. We have fought short-term battles for our own opportunities. When they become difficult, we surrender, we succumb, we adjust to the terror, to the nightmare. Our failures have always been excuses. We have never been held accountable by the next generation. We have never been asked by those born after us what we did when our land was taken over by brutes, barbarians, killers who think we owe them child support. None of us has been held accountable for enabling the regime of impunity, the regime of loot that has laid bare our coast, taking the lives of our people as though they were games. No one has ever been held accountable. And so we've used shortcuts. Those who have exiled themselves through the barbarism of the system have tried as much as possible to take along those left behind, or to use remittances to better the lives of those left behind. Living in exile has taught me one lesson. In every country I have been, whether the United Kingdom, I remember Chamberlain when he decided to give away part of Czechoslovakia to Hitler to appease him. He was afraid of the bully who lived in Berlin. He knew he could not stop Hitler because he never even dared to contemplate he could try. So he betrayed Czechoslovakia. You cannot satisfy bullies. You face bullies head on. I remember a guy then rose up in England called Winston Churchill. And he said, I'm going to take this bully block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood. He rallied the United Kingdom, rallied millions of people across the globe, including my dad, to fight, to defend values and customs which they were used to. The daring of a few men, the sacrifices of millions, stopped Hitler on his path. Europe and the Western Hemisphere were free from a tyranny that took away the lives of 6 million Jews, 11 million Russians, and countless number of others. Coming to Norway, about 1939, Norway also thought you could succumb and appease Hitler. They declared their neutrality. 1 year later, Hitler invaded Norway. The king of Norway and the government fled to England. From England, they oversaw the resistance. The Norwegian resistance fought Adolf Hitler. Hitler recruited Vidkun Quisling and put him as the figurehead. For 4 years, the Norwegians fought, assisted by the Allies and others. On the 8th of May, 1945, Norway was liberated. Every 8th of May, they celebrate it as Liberation Day. Within a few days, Adolf Hitler had overrun France. The French president had escaped to Gabon. Pétain, the traitor, was put in charge to oversee Hitler's loot. He betrayed his country because of fear. The French resistance, supported by the Allies, fought Adolf Hitler, and the Normandy landing ended Hitler's reign in France. The Russians never gave up. Stalingrad bombed to the ground. They fought. In winter, they fought. until Hitler succumbed. I've known bullies like Paul Biya all my life, and the shortcut by so many is to succumb to bullies. After a while, in resistance, people begin to blame themselves because they have never known sacrifice as important in freedom. 10,000 Norwegians were killed when Norway was liberated. 40 traitors were tried and hung, including the Prime Minister serving under Adolf Hitler. Sacrifice is important in the preservation of freedom. And all what we do is to deny Cameroon the opportunity to continuously belittle Ambazonians, exile Ambazonians, burn our villages, torture us, from Fonja to the John Frundis. They give up, they succumb, they integrated. This generation has vowed there will be no white flag. There will be no compromise on the ultimate objective of independence. And the resistance will continue until we are totally free from the coast to the highland. That is the price we will have to pay for the generation yet unborn, for those locked up in jail because of Amazonia, for those displaced as IDPs and refugees. My fellow citizens, to achieve our freedom, I have factored in a lot of issues. My leadership has been inclusive and collective. I know many a time you listen to the noise out and you may think Dr. Choayaba is a unilateralist. He likes to walk alone. He doesn't want to compromise with others. The truth sometimes might take a long time to emerge, but it will emerge. The Amazonian Governing Council, which I lead, has remained intact, not because we haven't had problems. It's because my leadership is a bottom-up leadership. The facts are clear. From the beginning of this struggle, I have never instituted any policy on ground zero, except my declaration of the rights of the Amazonian people to defend themselves. Monday ghost towns was declared by the consortium. School boycott was declared by the consortium. Even the taxes, which I have overseen, was declared by the soldiers in different forms. Ban on taxi color was declared by the soldiers. 99% of all the actions we take in this struggle has been declared by others. I have only come in to use my experience and knowledge to be able to shape those actions, explain those actions, so that they are understood by our people, why they should be respected, and so that they should be understood by the international community. In taxation, I realize we cannot survive simply on donations, the goodwill of our people, or what our soldiers call support. One soldier comes in the morning, collects support. The next one comes to the same person, collects support. You push our people to the wall. That is why I took all of those different forms of taxation that had been put in place on ground zero by our forces, and I defined them in a way that the world can understand us and in a way that our people can understand us. Liberation tax has always existed on ground zero. It has always existed in the diaspora in the form of citizens' levy, in the forms of contributions, in the forms of donations. So my leadership has always been inclusive. I've always embraced what others have put. I have always, once I think they will advance our struggle, I've made sure that they are properly understood and implemented. I know sometimes even those who impose those measures When it becomes difficult, they think they can back down. That's where I don't back down. When I believe a strategy is effective, a strategy is known to counter the authority of the enemy. Once a strategy is attacked by the enemy, you know it hurts them. And we simply have to stand our grounds. My fellow people, in the past days, I just stepped out from another meeting. I was invited in a meeting. I'm talking about this part because it's about leadership, what I think leadership is. But before I get into that, the way I make decision is based on the structure of the Amazonian Governing Council. It's also based on the structure of the Amazonian Resistance. Before I make an announcement, I consult with all forces. I consult even with stakeholders who don't have forces. I consult with advisors. Decisions that are effective once they are owned by the people, they are accepted, they are tolerated, and they become very effective. That is my approach. A bottom-up approach in leadership that is collective, consultative, and decisions are made for the general interest of everyone. In that way, we own the failure and we own the successes. That is how every decision I make happens. In the last days, I attended a meeting with Comrade Kwanga and the others. Every year in the past 5 years, schools have resumed in October in Amazonia as a distinction from the September commencement of schools by Cameroon. Every year in the past 5 years. And that tradition is what we continue to respect. And it's my belief that if we need to alter that tradition, we need to make that decision in due time, inform our people about the year, explain it thoroughly so that our people understand. And so I was called up in this meeting by this gentleman. He said, I don't think it's appropriate. A month is too short a period of time to ask our people to come in school in September. Number two, the tradition in the last 5 years has been that schools always resume in October. And so if you need to change it, you need proper consultation. And I did inform them, if you find valid reasons for which schools must resume in September, let us make it happen next year. Let's have this school year continue in October, and then we have proper consultation. And if we emerge with a common decision on a change, we will inform our people. And they insisted on September, and I said, all right, we will disagree to agree. Let's move our separate ways, and I'm going to make the announcement for October. Before I could even sit, they had put out an announcement having my name, and I notified them, this is not the outcome of the meeting. You can go ahead with your announcement without my name. They did not listen. Whoever is calling the shots, Amazonia will know. And I just want to warn Amazonia, the next item on the agenda will be Monday Ghost Towns. I've just listened to a couple of them talking about our people, that the struggle must be for our people. It has always been for our people. The people who have murdered our people is La Republique, who have burned down thousands of villages is La Republique. We don't have a La Republique citizen in our jail. The thousands of people in jail are locked up by La Republique. So those who've murdered our people are not Amazonians. There have been infractions by our people. And to use those little infractions to undermine the systematic violence imposed by Cameroon is not people-oriented approach to a liberation struggle. When I listen to some of them talk about, well, if you impose liberation tax, what if they arrest people? They have never answered, if you lock down shops on Monday, what if the enemy closes the shops on Tuesday? So the hypocrisy which we have seen in this struggle has been the reason why those who think they are for collaboration have dwindled to individuals who are fighting for their own survival. The IG has been dismantled. The proliferation of all of this group has been because they lack good faith. They lack proper understanding of compromise, tolerance, and procedures in the way decisions are made. They get up in the morning and then they want to make a decision. And when they come in a meeting, when there is disagreement, they go out and they start attacking people and screaming. My leadership has established an army on the ground. It is sustained. This year alone, we've spent more than 120 million in armament for our forces. We have powerful brigades across many states. That is a testament of our resilience and our belief in the outcome for which all of us are committed to. For all those who spend their time attacking us, they have never shown Amazonia what they have created. We have created community schools across 3 states. In 2 states, we have thousands of our people going to school. We have created an impeccable curriculum of education for our people. We've signed a contract of over $10,000 with Orion Foundation to give our children and adults skilled education lying in places where they cannot go to school. Our strategy is working, and I ask our people to believe in what I'm doing. I alone, what I as a leader have been able to achieve. You bring all what they have achieved will not be 1/3. And that is what you should use in measuring our commitment and in judging us. Noise does not free a people. Propaganda does not free a people. I will continue in my leadership to consult with Ground Zero on every measured decision that will require the implementation, that will affect the lives of our people. I will make those decisions in a way that will have an impact on the enemy's ability to continue to occupy our land, to exercise authority over our people. Some of those decisions might be seen as minimal, but when properly explained, its effect is seen. Taxi colors, it challenges the authority of the enemy to make decisions in Amazonia. Number plate undermine the ability of the enemy to make decisions in Amazonia. Occupation is not simply about military presence, it's about authority. You lose it, you lose the occupation. Are there consequences in any decision we make? In every decision we make, there are consequences. Even when we don't make decisions for our freedom, there are consequences. Even when Mamia P was sleeping in her house, not going to a demonstration, not carrying a rifle, even when the children in Gabo were just going about their activities, they were all murdered. Those who asked for the reformation of our educational system are all in jail. Those who asked for the legal system to be reformed are either in exile or in jail. You don't need to make decisions to face repercussions with the brutes that have taken over our country. You simply need to be an Amazonian, to think Amazonian and believe in Amazonian, and you will be attacked. It is not the decisions we make. It is about who we are. We are not Cameroonians and we are Amazonians. And we're simply being killed because we are Amazonians. Whether you believe in our struggle for freedom or not, you risk being killed. Whether you fight against it, you risk being killed. And so we must know who the perpetrators are, and we must face them head on without meandering, trying to take shortcuts to blame those who are contributing their utmost for the freedom of our country. My fellow people, my leadership has believed very strongly from the beginning that to be independent, you need to understand the international system. And you need to work extremely very hard to get known, integrated, recognized, and respected by the international community. That is why I've done everything Amazonians across the globe. I've done everything to put our struggle in the halls of power of many countries, including the US Congress, the House of Lords in the United Kingdom, the French Parliament, the German Parliament. This has been an amazing journey for all of us. I continue to make sure that governments are informed about what we are doing. I continue to make sure that there is outreach to these governments. We continue to knock on doors of new emerging organizations. We continue to make sure that We notify governments on what the enemy is doing. We continue to make sure that governments understand the independence of Amazonia is non-negotiable and that there is no exit. There is no possibility of coexistence because of the absence of any model that shows success in that direction. We continue also to work with media houses so that they can explain to their population what is Amazonia, what we fight for, die for, and what we want to present to our people. We continue to interact also with international organizations, dozens of them. If you see a Norwegian Refugee Council report, different organizations are talking about our struggle. It's because of the effort of Amazonians across the globe. And you can be rest assured that we are planting the seed of recognition. We are planting the seed of knowledge. We are planting the seed of investment when we are independent. And so have confidence in the fact that even though you may not hear some of the things we are doing because of diplomatic courtesy, we are doing a lot. A few days ago, I did a big interview with the biggest Norwegian TV channel. And I know that you will watch that interview very soon. It is because of our persistence and it's because of our resilience. We have also used social media to be able to pass information, counteract the propaganda of the enemy. As I have said to you repeatedly, Cameroon has won every battle from 1961 up till today through patience and propaganda. We have established social media outlets to counteract their propaganda, challenge their monopoly in terms of international relations and diplomacy, and to undermine and expose them as bullies, looters, murderers, and people who don't have backbone. So we are present internationally and we continue to be present internationally. Next month, we have been invited by the Basque president for the Basque anniversary, and we will be available there to carry our flag, to talk about Amazonia, to tell people who we are, what we have, and what we plan to do with the resources that we have. A few months ago, the Norwegian Refugee Council talked about the humanitarian disaster caused by the impunity of Cameroon's presence. Millions of our citizens have been affected because of the brutality of Cameroon. Millions have been displaced. Millions have escaped the homeland. They are refugees in Cameroon, refugees in Biafra, in Ghana, all across in Mexico. And the Norwegian Refugee Council has talked about the lack of humanitarian support. We continue to appeal to the international community to continue to support people in this time of dire straits. Cameroon hasn't got monies to pay its workers. It hasn't got monies for its own hospitals. The last funds in Cameroon's coffers is spent to buy bullets to murder Amazonians. So we are working extremely very hard to make sure that we convince the international community of the need for humanitarian support and for media attention, for diplomatic attention on the struggle, and especially the suffering of our people. We've also appealed to several governments to make sure Amazonians who are residing in these countries are guaranteed at least temporary protection on humanitarian grounds and given the right to work so that they can mobilize resources and support their families who are trapped under the yoke of Cameroon's oppression. From the beginning, I said, because for more than 60 years, Cameroon has not been willing to have conversation on simple issues, as you saw with Patasang, as you saw with the lawyers and others. And they've believed in the deployment of force. It is necessary because the Fonchas, the Munas, and the others failed to establish an Amazonian army and gave Cameroon the opportunity to invade our land without resistance. It was important for Amazonia to establish an army to defend itself and to fight against the brutality and insanity of Cameroon. As I said before, we have about 3,500 well-armed Amazonians in different defense groups across the 13 states. And I'm proud of what our forces are doing. Without training, without foreign support, without constant flow of cash, they have been able to fight for 7 years without blinking. They have buried, they have fallen and risen up to fight on the same spot where their comrades were killed. It's an amazing feat which we only saw in some wars like the US Revolution. I want to thank our forces for the sacrifices. I want to thank our people for continuously believing in them. It is the Amazonian forces that have legitimate authority in Amazonia. The others are thugs, barbarians who burn villages, rape our children, murder our fathers, and cause a lot of trauma. I tell you a small story. Down in the territory, an Amazonian driver was driving through a Cameroon checkpoint. And when they arrived there, there was total silence. Everybody was mute. Everybody was quiet. Everybody was holding onto their phone, not knowing what the enemy will do. They gave their bribes and they drove off. When they reached the Amazonian checkpoint, the driver was screaming, "Ajamam, Ajamam." That is how when they arrived where their own forces were, they were able to speak. They were able to communicate because they understand each other. They know, despite the difficulties, these are our brothers, these are our children fighting for our flag, fighting for our country. And so I want you to believe in our forces. And I also ask our forces to make their primary responsibility the protection of our civilian population and to make sure that any acts of extortion, arbitrary arrest, torture are eliminated in their actions. It is very critical that the relationship between our forces and the population is cordial. The population is the first line of defense of our forces. And so our forces must conduct themselves with utmost integrity and respect for our population and follow due process in ensuring that those arrested are questioned and given the chance to respond, and those who are found to be spying for La République du Cameroon, justice will take its course. My fellow people, as I have said repeatedly, Amazonia is ready for negotiation anytime Cameroon is ready. Dr. Sarkozy and the others were in Geneva during the Swiss intention. We sent a powerful team in Canada during the Canadian talks. And we issued a joint communique following the communication protocol that ended the Canadian talks. Amazonia has always been ready, including when the African Commission on Human and People's Rights asked Cameroon to enter into discussions with the SCNC. They were ready. Cameroon has never been ready for discussions because it has never recognized our humanity. It has never recognized that we are a people. It has never recognized that we are human beings. They have believed that we are their slaves, and they cannot understand for 1 second how their slaves have just suddenly risen up and are demanding equal rights. So Cameroon and the international community must understand that we will continue to buy weapons and arm our people, but we are ready every time Cameroon is, based on the root cause of the occupation, infringement of international borders, and human rights, systematic in nature violations in Amazonia. My fellow people, as I said from the beginning, on my strategy of decision making, there has always been inclusive. And we have also made sure that the strategies that we adopt are reflective of different constituencies. Take, for example, the liberation tax. We adopted a generic approach in the liberation tax, but we gave forces across the territory the opportunity to implement it in a way that reflects their own particular environment. If Amazonia must avoid post-independence chaos, we must make sure that there is inclusivity in decision making and execution of those decisions. And that's what we have always been. The design of our future countries is important. And my leadership will ensure that the political capital of Amazonia remains Boya, the judicial capital. And this is important. Let me explain this. In Africa, capital cities where all the seats of governments have been located sometimes are the only places that are developed. Ministers, managers, and others can stay there in peace and security They can drive their cars in peace, no potholes and stuff. And that has been the way that things have worked. The new Amazonia will see decentralization of the different arms of government. The political capital, the prime minister and the president will remain in Boya. The judicial capital will be heading to the state of Momo. That's where Barrister Gorgin Dinka was born. That is where Professor Carson Anyangwe was born. That is the man in 1984 when La Republique terminated and recalled to its own name. He rose up and declared Amazonia and gave us this name. So we will move the judicial capital. That will be, for example, the Ministry of Justice. So that and the parliament, will move the parliament to a place like Manu. So if the president needs to address the parliament, he needs to drive from Fako right up to Manfe and address the parliament there. If you've abandoned the roads, you will drive through the potholes. Our economic capital will be located in Meme, be the powerhouse of innovation and entrepreneurship, and to make sure that our people are empowered and free. It is very important that the model of state that we develop, as is proposed in the Amazonian Manifesto, is inclusive, representative, and is not destructible. Transparency and accountability is critical if Amazonia is to succeed. One of the reasons why Cameroon has failed also, and most African countries are collapsing, is because of the absence of transparency, economic loot and spoliation, lack of accountability with the population. We are also watching our struggle, how lack of accountability and transparency has destroyed many movements. Under my leadership, the funds that are meant for the liberation struggle are invested 101% into the liberation struggle. And everyone has a sense of ownership. Everyone has a sense of ownership both in the processes and in the outcome. And we will make sure that this culture of transparency and accountability, makes its way into an independent Amazonia. Millions of people die every year within the continent because gangsters and cartels have looted treasuries, built mansions across different continents, and wasted our resources in different places. As I said, also, priority is the protection of our people. I know there is a lot of noise out there about the struggle being for our people. That is the reason for which we rose, to make sure we liberate the homeland and give a homeland to our people, to make sure we also liberate our people from the yoke of Cameroon's tyranny. And we will continue to put our people center stage. Of course, there are abuses, infractions by different forces. We make sure that we intervene, we institute different measures. For example, putting the Amazonian Code of Justice to make sure that there is due process if somebody is arrested. We also do what they call the speedy intervention. If somebody is arrested, we make sure we notify the soldiers that we are aware and that if the person has not committed any crime, they should be released. We also make sure that extortion is reduced through the liberation tax and that there is accountability within the soldiers. My fellow citizens, for us to succeed, all of these things that I'm talking about are captured in the Amazonian Manifesto of Independence. It is not enough to continuously talk about what you are fighting against. You must be able to present what you are fighting for so that our people will embrace it, they will understand it, and they will sacrifice more to make sure that they can achieve. We're fighting to make sure that in an independent Amazonia, all of these things that I've outlined take root. an educational system that is skill-based, that you don't go 15 years in school and you have no skill and you leave, you can only be proud of having a degree in chemistry. And it makes no use in changing your lot, in giving opportunities for your families. It cannot give you a job to support your mom or your dad. And so the Amazonia that we are fighting for is going to be totally different from that of Cameroon. And we are going to be radical in the policies that we are putting in place. For that day to come, we must continue to fight. In the coming months, there will be a series of activities that will happen. From the 9th of September to the 23rd of September, the entire territory of Amazonia will be in lockdown. This lockdown is to undermine and to frustrate any attempt by Cameroon to continue to impose its calendar of education and its curriculum of education that have turned us into liabilities. We must make sure that Amazonia is different, and if independence must mean independence, it means we must fight against some of the policies that Cameroon has put in place. From the 24th to the 30th, we will give an opportunity for our people to begin preparation towards the celebration of our Independence Day. Those who are moving from one place to the other to begin school should have that 1 week to move. On the 1st of October is our Independence Day, and Amazonians across the territory and in the diaspora will be celebrating our Day of Independence. This is very important because it reminds us of our country. It reminds us of the sacrifices that others have made and continue to make. Those in jail, those as IDPs, as refugees, and it also informs the world about Amazonia, our independence, and its importance to all of us. On the 2nd of October is the official commencement of Amazonian school year. This is very important. 2nd of October, official commencement of the Amazonian school year. No school commencement in September. And so I call on our people to make this very important distinction. Now, I know you are going to see a lot of information being floated out there. My people, when the consortium called for the closure of schools, we began immediately to think about what the alternative would be. That's why we established community schools, and we were attacked. That doesn't serve any purpose. We believe very strongly a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. We believe very strongly that those inventors who invented the airplane tried with several prototypes that failed. And today, hundreds of people can sit in a jumbo jet and fly across oceans, and in 6 hours have moved from one continent to the other. It will take a belief in what we are putting in place and the innovation that exists for us to take it to where we want to. I, Dr. Chuayaba, have always, as I said from the beginning, believed very strongly that consultation is critical in the effectiveness of programs and decisions. And I want you people to continuously disregard all of those speculations that are made out there. Those speculations that are monumental in nature are designed to alter certain fundamental principles that informs our struggle. You must always wait and hear from me. As I said, I have not made any decision in the struggle. And what we cannot do is to allow individuals to use their emotions time and again to attack decisions that have been very collective and effective. School boycott was not our program. We've implemented it, we've designed an alternative, and it's working. Anyone who wants to talk about Amazonian education must be able to have schools that are under them, curriculum of education that are under them. And if you don't, and if you have good ideas, consult with those who are running these institutions. If you want to make measured decisions on self-defense, you have to make sure that you consult and fail. And that is what we have always done. Across all the states, any decision we want to make on issues of self-defense, we consult with different forces. We are not unilateral, not because we are weak, but because we believe that consultation mitigates the effect of public chaos. And these decisions that we have made have been very successful in self-defense, education, internationalization, and targeted diplomacy. So I want every one of you listening to me today to note that while there are different actors in our struggle, they don't carry the same weight. And you should not allow yourself time and again to be deceived because people have put out press releases, they've put out videos. You must first ask tough questions before you are going to implement any decision that they have made. Anytime a decision comes from my office, you must know it is a decision that has been well thought of. It's a decision that has been made through consultation with individuals. It's a decision that has been thrown publicly for individuals to debate. They may not agree, but we have the power. In terms of the forces we have, we are the only structured movement. We have the platform that collaborates with different Amazonians and different stakeholders. So once more, on the 2nd of October, the Amazonian school year begins. From the 9th of September to the 23rd, our borders will be closed. I have notified the Biafrans. Every Amazonian doing business with Cameroon, with Biafra, with Nigeria, you must take note. And from the 24th to the 30th will be the continuation of preparation towards the commencement of the new school year and the celebration of our Independence Day. My fellow Amazonians, there comes a time in the life of a people when they take a stand, a final stand against tyranny and oppression and occupation. And this is that time in our history. We have come a long way in the last 70 years, in the last 63 years, and even in the last 132 years. As a people who have been shipped from one colonial authority to the other. And we have had leaders and individuals who have failed woefully to establish the institutions that are the foundation of an independent state. We have had individuals who, in the face of difficulties, they blink, succumb, surrender, and give away our country. Our land has been taken over by brutes who killed 400,000 Bamilikes during the nationalist struggle for the true independence of Cameroon. Cameroon was handed over to neo-colonialist Ayijo, who transferred it to another neo-colonialist. All the nationalists were killed. We have risen up as a people to put an end to this illegal presence, to this illegal tyranny that has cost the lives of millions of our people, displaced millions, undermine our tradition, our culture, and our way of life. We will not surrender. We will not compromise. Cameroon must know, and know it now and clearly. Their survival depends on the freedom of Amazonia. Otherwise, Cameroon will splinter into bits and pieces. And I can assure you, as I have said repeatedly, given the chance and the resources, we will take the western province of Cameroon, we will take the littoral and hold it until reparations are paid to Amazonia. And if we have the resources, we will match and make sure that the government that exists in Cameroon is a democratic government that recognizes Amazonia, treats its own people with love and dignity. God bless you all. God bless Amazonia.
Hail this land of glory, we the Amazonian, special loyalty. Praise the soul of Savior who granted us the freedom. Allegiance to the hero who brought the lonely gather. Glory to glory, we rise and never to fall. Here in a nation flowing with earth and holy. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation, a joy forevermore. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty, meeting our need. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God being the watchman of this nation.